Hey, Deb Cooper here. Welcome to the third of the series on manipulative narcissism and the games that men play to get control of you. What I wanted to do though is before I get into this, let's do a little bit of an introduction because I want to make sure that you understand what we're talking about here. When I'm talking about a guy who's a manipulator, he is using very subtle, usually very subtle techniques with his facial expressions, his voice intonations, his body language, and his choice of words to get control over you. The idea is to kind of put you in a box where you're dependent on him. You're dependent on him mentally and emotionally and sometimes physically and financially as well, so that he can yank your chain anytime he wants to. He feels positively in control then, and you feel lost and confused. You don't even know what's going on half the time. Keep in mind that these guys, this is very subtle. And if you're not up on the game, when he starts doing this kind of stuff, you're not going to recognize it for what it is. This is especially true for women who don't have much experience or women who have been in a relationship for a long time and just get back out into the singles world. Y'all need to get up on the games. These dudes ain't playing out here with you. So I hope that you find this information valuable. I'm going to go over one to two, maybe if I have time, three issues in each video. So I originally said it was going to be seven. It's probably going to be more like 12. And I just really want to go into a bit of explanation for each kind of tactic that they use and how it's going to play out for you within a relationship. So we got 7 minutes to do this. I'm running my mouth a little bit too long. We got 7 minutes, so let's go. Let's talk about two of the very common techniques that manipulative narcissists use when they try to control women in their relationships. Let's start with the blame shifting rationalization, I call it. Women experience blame shifting in relationships with men just about every day. I mean, actually, you don't even have to be in a relationship with them. Just work with them, socialize with them, interact with them online, and you experience it. For those of you who are in relationships, though, it might look like this. You got this broke, jobless, dusty man, and you catch him sliding into other women's DMs, right? Because he ain't working. He don't have nothing else to do. Instead of admitting that he's, crap, he rationalizes and blames you for it. Well, saying, if you paid more attention to me and made me feel like a man, I wouldn't have to get that from other women. So somehow it becomes your fault that he did this egregious stuff that hurts you. And that's the typical stuff. Another thing that they do is, because in a situation like that, you may be working two jobs because you're trying to make up for the income that he's not making since he's sitting at home on his butt. But from his point of view, you're not paying attention to him, and that's why he did what he did. No thanks for what you're doing to, cover his slack, nothing. Or you might have a guy who actually does cheat. Not sliding into DMs. I mean, he is actually physically cheating with some other woman. And then you bust him. And then he, instead of accepting responsibility for it, he flips it around to blame the woman. Well, she knew that I was married. She knew that I had a girlfriend. She knew that I had a baby mama. She knew. Somehow it becomes her fault that he did what he did. I'm like, what? Another favorite is that, say when these dudes, they get the women pregnant. I mean, you see this online all the time where they jumping up and down about somebody making them pay child support. Somehow, though, it becomes her fault for, quote, letting him go up in her raw and, quote, trapping him with a baby, although he knows full well what kind of behavior leads to making a baby. I mean, it's not like he was hatching from an egg this morning. He knows the birds and the bees. He knows all this stuff. But somehow it's becomes he wants to blame a woman for it, and so there you go. Another common one is the common favorite is that he may talk to you disrespectfully. You talk to about other women disrespectfully or to them disrespectfully, and or he does something that hurts you, and then instead of apologizing and promising that he's never going to do it again, he didn't mean it. He's not. Oh no, he's not going to do that. Instead, he blames women for quote letting them abuse him. Them, I mean. So this is really prevalent in the black community. I've noticed this abuse towards women and the blame shifting towards women and girls, this rationalization for male negative behavior towards women and girls is very, very popular. And it's very common for young girls to be manipulated and coerced into doing things they shouldn't be doing by older males. That's why they have laws to protect minor children from men. Instead, these guys are being instead of being held accountable for breaking the law and violating children's rights, they shift the blame to the girls for being fast or for enticing some men, I quote, knowing what they were doing. And you women, a lot of you are guilty of the same thing. So when these guys say that, nothing's ever his fault, nothing's under his control, nothing's ever his responsibility, somehow what he has always seems to be a valid excuse in some crazy woman's mind. Now let me share some of the other phrases that blame shifters might say and things that they might do that flip the script on you. Number one, talking about something he did wrong or offenses, right? He overreacts like a crazy person to get you to back off. He's crying, he's throwing things, he's storming around, he's playing Mr. Pitiful to get you to feel sorry for him, so you drop, the attack on his behavior. Or he's going off like a rocket about nothing. So he intimidates you, right? You back off because you're like, oh my God, what's wrong with him? Or number two, he avoids discussing what you want to talk about by changing the subject to talk about you or women in general. And I call that conversation hijacking. They change the topic to talk about what it is that they want to talk about that's not, the issue at hand. Or number three, he blames the faults that you have for the reason that he did what he did that hurt you. Because if you weren't so loud, if you weren't so mean, if you weren't so ghetto, if you cooked better, if you cleaned better, if you did, whatever it is, somehow it becomes your fault that he went out and did whatever he did. Which we all know is a bunch of BS. Okay, let me hurry up before I run out of time here. Now let's talk about degradation. What that looks like is basically a smear campaign. They want to paint you as nothing. You're unstable. You're somebody to pity. They belittle and dismiss you. They dismiss your accomplishments, your goals, your hobbies, your interests, your looks, your height, your weight, your family, your kids, your job, whatever they can talk about in a negative way and put it down. That's what they attack. They basically want other people to think that you're lucky to have them and that you have no right to complain because he's such a wonderful thing and you just nothing. And some of you, unfortunately, start to believe it too. That's the sad part. A woman I met told me that she got a promotion at her job, right? She went home and she tells her boyfriend because she's all excited. And he told her that the only reason she got it was because they wanted a black woman in the job. Now they wouldn't get an opportunity to a black man. And basically by doing that, he just took all the wind out of her sails and made it feel like, she didn't have any qualifications or skills or intelligence to get the position on her own, that she had to get it because of some imaginary quota that they have of black women. He had no proof of this now, but this was his reason why he couldn't congratulate her the way that she wanted him to. And I told you all about the guy that I was dating who tried to slam me because I was in Black Enterprise magazine. He's sitting his fat ass up at my house eating dinner at my table and telling me, well, you think you all that because you in Black Enterprise, which I didn't, but that let me know that he thought I was. And to these guys, when they want to put you down, it basically means that they want you to think rather that you're stupid, that you're unattractive, that you're all kind of negative things. If you give your opinion is dumb. So you stop sharing your opinions. So say you're pregnant at 8 months old and 8 months, right? And you're pretty large. That's right before the baby's born. Instead of being happy about the birth of his child coming into the world, he tells you that you fat and he can't take you anywhere with him because you embarrassed by how big you are. That's degradation. These are the men who will call you a slut, a whore, a stupid, a cum dumpster, somebody to pump and dump, all this kind of stuff. We hear this all the time online. These guys are degrading women. And of course, these guys also correct everything that a woman says. They do that mansplaining thing. They have no problem humiliating or embarrassing you in public or private. They put you down. They treat you like a piece of meat, like we had in the letter on What the Fuck Tuesday the other day. The guy pinching the girl's nips all the time. And, she told him she didn't want him to, and he's doing it anyway. That's degrading to her. They make fun of your beliefs, your interests, your ideas, your desires. He refuses to listen to you because you're just a mere woman and your thoughts are not important. And, women with men like this, they often get really quiet. They don't really say too much. They don't want to talk about their advanced degrees. They don't want to talk about what they know. They don't talk about where they've been. They don't talk about what they read. They just sit there because they don't want their guy to start attacking them. Instead of him talking about, being proud of her degrees and her accomplishments, all he's focused on is what kind of meatloaf she can make. And if you're a woman and you point out what your dude is doing, he's going to call you crazy. He's going to tell you that, there's something wrong with you. So you decide that it's better just to be, you're going to be upset. You're going to be resentful of how he's treating you, of course. I mean, that goes without saying. But you decide not to say anything or not to do anything about it because you just want to keep the peace. You just want him to you just want quiet. You just want peace in the relationship. So what you basically have, ladies, is a man who at the beginning, he showered you with nonstop attention and admiration. He couldn't say enough nice things about you. You were just perfect. You were just a wonderful woman. But suddenly, everything that you do is boring. Everything that you say is stupid. Anything that you do is worthless. And if you aren't getting a silent treatment from him, he just basically, he's going to show his annoyance by everything that you're interested in, including continuing a relationship. And you ultimately feel worthless. You feel like you're bothering him if you even ask him to do anything, which you are go anywhere or anything. In reality, these guys are very intimidated by your independence and your greatness. They don't want their woman to go to school. They don't want their woman to get any kind of positions of, of authority. They don't want you to get a high-paying job. They don't want you to get a degree. They don't want you to upset the balance of power that they have in their minds where they feel like they might lose control of you. His goal, in case you didn't get it, let me just reiterate because I know that was a lot of words. His goal here is strictly two things. He wants to undermine your self-esteem. And number two, he wants to make you frantic for his approval. He wants to be in a position of power in your life. He wants you to believe that nobody else would ever want you and that you're nothing without him. He wants you to suppress any goals that you have, to be or do more. So he effectively, by criticizing you and degrading you like that, you start to doubt yourself to the point where you put the brakes on any potential that you might have for greatness because you are so afraid of what he's going to do and what he's going to say. And, you don't really want to surpass him because you think it's going to destroy him and all that. Of course, you love a man, even though you don't really understand how he's destroying you in the process for you to get this, quote, love that he's offering you. He wants to look like the man in the eyes of his buddies or his family or, online. I mean, whatever. He wants to look like he's the man. And he can't possibly grow or change himself because he's too busy keeping you down. And this is what I wanted to say about that. I hope that, this, like I said earlier, that this is something that you find interesting. We got a lot more stuff coming up. The next couple of videos, I'm going to do two subjects in each one. On the next one, I'm going to be covering the man who plays a chronic victim and the man who talks to you in a way that's completely undecipherable. So you think you have information, you think you had a conversation that you really didn't have, and you think you have information that you really don't have. So we're going to talk about that in the next one. Expect that over the weekend. Deb Cooper from survivingdating.com. I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.